I met Alan when he came for his interview in 2007, right? And it was a moment where there was, I would say, great opportunity. The college was in a strong position in terms of enrollment. Bill Hebert was the president at the time, had been president for, at that point, 6 years. And I think he really recognized that we were at a situation where we had some real opportunities for the development of the faculty, development of programs, development of the curriculum. But what we really needed was someone who could have a vision of the way those things could really come to pass.
We were ready. In other words, there were quite a few faculty that were looking forward to moving forward on any number of issues. New faculty were pushing for any kind of way to move the college forward. And so we were hopeful, very hopeful that the next dean would be one who could, in fact, move us forward.
I remember before his arrival, we were in a bit of a lull, and a number of us were looking at each other and saying, who's going to pay attention to the academic program?
I still remember when we first brought him on campus and hired him. We had just established the Faculty Senate, and he came to the Faculty Senate meeting, and Barbara Blonder and I attacked him on either side. She took one arm and I took the other, and we walked with him, and we're trying to impress on him the need for reform for general education, which hadn't been changed in decades. And this was something that we had all been wanting to try to do. And so we just seized the moment and we said, okay, here we go. And that was my first real connection with Alan. And he looked a little stunned to have been sort of, blindsided like that.
The stories I hear sometimes about Flagler's past that maybe isn't so positive is that we didn't have a strong enough focus on academics. We would market Flagler to students and we would show the beaches and the surfing and the girls in bikinis and the pool. But we didn't talk about, here's what you're actually going to study here. And that was a problem. I mean, it led us to having students who didn't come here sometimes to take that seriously. And I'm sure it was a problem to recruit faculty.
So when Alan arrived here, I remember early on him saying to me with great excitement, look at this place, who wouldn't want to come here? And he just communicated that excitement, and he became that lightning rod we needed to create so many wonderful initiatives at Flagler.
When Alan came in 2007 was the time that I arrived. The Faculty Senate was just starting. We were moving into a new phase of academic excellence, and I think that's what Alan saw in Flagler, is a diamond in the rough, a place that could really excel and become well known for its reputation as a liberal arts college.
Alan was the first dean that we had who could come into the college and claim authority over the academic program and the faculty. And by that I mean he was and is an accomplished academic. He had been, of course, in the classroom for many years, so no one could doubt his pedagogy, his teaching skills, his experience. But what was really lacking and sorely needed was an academic who could lead the faculty in a way to a new level of professionalism. Alan was perfectly suited to call faculty forward and quite frankly to challenge them too.
Without question, he was the right person for the moment, right? It was this kind of fascinating intersection of a academic leader in his career, which had involved teaching and curriculum development and his own significant scholarship, and a college in many, many ways ready to kind of take some steps forward.
Alan is the first boss I ever had who I felt like was working as hard as I was. So for me to come in and have somebody who's as dedicated as he is and have a steady hand and good judgment and was really making decisions, I felt like in the interest of all the people, all the faculty he was serving, it was a relief to me because that hasn't always been my situation. And so to have a leader that I believe in is one of the great things about this job.
But I think one of the most admirable traits for Alan is he's willing to admit when he doesn't know. If he is not familiar with a topic, or if he'll say that's outside my realm, I'm going to defer to somebody else, and that really says a lot about a leader when he's willing to surround himself with people and let them be the expert?
Alan is so calm and steady. He's a very reassuring presence, and that's been especially important during this time, during the COVID pandemic, to have somebody in that chair whose judgment we trust and who's going to look out for us.
The biggest thing that stands out about Alan to me is that I've always felt like, as a faculty member, he's one of us. You don't get that all the time with administrators, right? And I can even remember when the presidency job was coming open, I went to Alan, you gonna apply for that? He's like, oh no, that's time's kind of past me, but and I'm a faculty member at heart.
So I had gotten hired for a one-year visiting position and started to do research with Terry Saran and her students and tried to get my own research going. And I had just come back from the field, shorts, shirt, stank like fish, muddy, sweaty, and Alan comes into my office to let me know that I had gotten the full-time job. And he reached out his hand to shake my hand, and I was like, oh, Alan, I've been in the field, I'm kind of dirty and stinky, and he's like, that's fine, and he shook my hand.
I mean, what really struck me with the culture of Flagler that I think he has promoted is empowering new faculty members as they come in. I mean, I was 29 years old, and within a year I was coordinator of the history program, and he really encourages the younger faculty to participate and to take ownership, and he wants ideas from new people, not just the senior faculty. So I think that's been, like, as I was kind of reflecting on Alan's tenure, like that's been what really stands out, right? Is you have new people come in and they're welcomed into the fold and they're almost expected to help change the culture and make it better.
There's Alan's personality and then there's Alan as a leader, and they're both pretty distinct. Both, though, combine in a really interesting way to make Alan someone who I think is really good at empowering people. He gives people opportunities, and he really means it. I remember when I came in for my interview, this sort of 1.5 hour, circuit through that wing of Ponce, and sat down with Alan for a little bit, and we sort of talked to each other a little bit about our interests, and then he gave me a speech which he probably gives everyone about Flagler being full of potential and being a place in which, if you have ideas that you're interested in pursuing, that you actually have an opportunity to put them to work. And at the time it sounded like just a line, a good line, but a line. And then sure enough, within a couple of years, I had found my way into the writing program and thinking about redesigning that. And every time I went to Alan, he sort of said, I don't really understand why we do it this way instead of that way, and could we think about changing this? The answer was always just yes.
I came here as an assistant professor. I was already 12 years into my teaching career with my PhD, and he really was the first person who recognized leadership potential in me.
I would not be where I am professionally if not for Alan Woolfolk and the chances that he took on me, the trust he has had in me, the support that we have had as a faculty from that office, particularly when I talk to colleagues elsewhere, is nothing short of remarkable.
It takes a unique person to see beyond the day-to-day inertia of academia, which tends to slow things down. I think he's a visionary. He saw early on when he arrived that the college needed to improve its math and sciences.
We're not a huge endowment institution. The faculty aren't bringing in $1 million grants, where the college is taking half to build buildings and support new programs. So I think it takes someone with some forward-thinking progress to look at a traditional liberal arts institution and say, hey, we really need these programs. And I think he did a phenomenal job of really pushing that forward.
I quite honestly wouldn't have my job or my programs here at Flagler if it weren't for Alan. He is someone who I think has a good sense of how to make change and when to make change.
He is a really strong advocate. If there is something that he has supported you along, he's not going to leave you hanging. So I think he really supports his people.
Now he can laugh as cynically as anybody else with all the characters, and even at himself, and all the weird stuff that percolates up and emerges, but yet never surrender that deep moral commitment to higher education. And he sees it, I believe, as a calling, right? It is not just simply a job, that it's actually something deeper and more important than that. I've worked with Alan very, very closely since before he even started, traveled with him, spent a lot of time talking to him, on the phone and long after hours where, he is not leaving the office at whatever time and it's behind him. He's thinking about it well into the night and early in the morning and kind of everywhere in between.
Oh, I think that Alan is the central figure in the story of Flagler College in the 21st century. He's the one who spurred the creation of an academic strategic plan focused on the academics, not on the preservation of the buildings, not on the legacy of Henry Flagler. And not that those things are unimportant, but the academic side of this place, right? To really put it on the map academically. And this place is it is a really great academic institution. I can't speak to what it was before this, but I've seen the changes over the last 13 years that I've been here. And in my mind, those are, Alan's contribution to the place, that it is academically a really wonderful institution. It's a place where I would recommend students go to get a first-rate education.
I mean, in ways, the best part of his legacy, I think, is us, is every faculty member here that he has had a hand in hiring and bringing along. But he's just changed the culture here so much. He's made Flagler undeniably a different kind of school than it was when he came, and I don't know how much more you can say than that. He brought a kind of academic seriousness to the college without letting go of our identity as teachers, which is, I think, a really hard line to walk. He has given every faculty member new kinds of opportunities in terms of reducing the teaching load and supporting professional development and giving people opportunities to do service, meaningful service, and all these kinds of things. So in a way, he's shaped our work and the possibilities of our work in so many ways that I think his legacy will not end when he leaves, which I think is great.
You won't be able to erase the fingerprints that Alan Woolfolk has all over the academic values and mission of this institution. It hasn't always been smooth. There have been disagreements. But the one thing too, Tracy, about Alan, I always felt like we could disagree and still leave the meeting on the same page. But the big picture was still what's in the best interest of the college as a whole. And I have nothing but respect for that.
Honestly, I think every day, he seemingly came to work and spoke with candor, and he spoke boldly. And I remember in his interview, he came in and he was railing against, the 5-5 course load and saying to us, it's really very, very heavy and burdensome. I would love to see, one of the things I would want to do upon my arrival was, to push for a 4-4 load. I mean, that was a transformative, liberating experience. He's leaving a magnificent legacy here at Flagler College. I want to wish him the best and his family the best, and thank them too for sharing him all these years.
I just wanted him to go on to his next phase of his life with peace and joy in his heart and in his mind, knowing that he has done good in the world.
Alan is one of the best things that's ever happened to Flagler College, and I am so grateful for his willingness to be our new dean for 13 years. His leadership has been transformative. So many of us are inspired to try to carry on. I think we've learned lessons and from him, and by virtue of his example, I mean, one of the best ways to honor him is to keep moving forward. The good energy with each other. Yeah, supporting each other.
To be honest, he's given a lot of his life to Flagler College, and I feel like he's really invested in this place. I mean, he could have come into Flagler and just relaxed into retirement, so to speak, and just sort of held the steering wheel and not do too much with it. But he's really reinvented the place. So he's had such an impact on the quality of our academic programs, on where we are and where we're going, that I think it's, those of us who came recently probably take this for granted, the way things are now. And sometimes when we talk to people who have been here longer and they talk about the way things were before Alan arrived, it sounds like a completely different college. nobody's had a bigger impact on this school that I can see than Alan Woolfolk. He's completely reinvented it.